Across every timeline, the sea kneels to its king. Yet in this one, it rolls in fury, not mercy. The ocean remembers every wound, every betrayal. In the Flashpoint universe, that memory turned dark. Here, Aquaman is no savior. He is an emperor, forged by grief, driven by vengeance, and feared by the world he chose to drown. In the Flashpoint Emperor Aquaman tie-in, we get to see what led to the war between Atlantis and the Amazons. 8 months before the Flashpoint War, the first strike fell upon Rome. In a single night, history drowned. The Mediterranean roared to life, swallowing the eternal city and every monument that had once defied time. To the surface, it was a disaster. To Atlantis, it was justice. And to its emperor, it was both pride and guilt. Beneath the waves, to the world he is Aquaman, but among his people his name is Orin. He drifted through the ruins he had made. Statues, cathedrals, and relics of human genius slept beneath the tides. In a fractured window of a cathedral, the Sea King saw the image of a dove, but his mind turned it into a warrior's helmet. He then smashed it into pieces. For a fleeting heartbeat, regret touched him, then vanished like light through water. He was not there to mourn. He was there to ensure the ocean's judgment was complete, returning to a submarine warship. Orin encounters Dr. Volko. He surveyed the weapon that had made the drowning possible, the Geopulse. It was a machine of continental power, forged from Atlantean science and human cruelty, capable of splitting the Earth's crust, every circuit alive, every system that was deemed perfect. 11 months before the sinking of Rome, inside the Markovia's halls, human world leaders whispered about forming an alliance against Wonder Woman's armies. King Brian of Markovia urged unity, warning that the only one force that could rival the Amazons were the Atlanteans. King Brian believes forming an alliance with Aquaman would guarantee their safety. But the French president stated that Aquaman was the one that started the war. On his wedding day with Wonder Woman, he had Diana's mother assassinated. However, King Brian responded by saying, what choice do they have? Present day, in the royal chamber of Atlantis, Aquaman's generals plotted strategies for annihilation. His general stated that some of their enemies had escaped the flooding attack. He shows Orin an image of new Themyscira had been elevated to avoid in flooding attacks. The Amazons somehow had anticipated the attack. Then Ocean Master mocked the general, asking if they were having a briefing or a history lesson. The general tried to explain that they had found out how the Amazons were able to counteract the Geopulse device. He then changes the image to show a young woman called Tara Markov, the young sister of King Brian. He mentions that she has the same meta-human powers as Brian. It was reported that she was recruited by Wonder Woman before Brian reached out to Aquaman. The general lastly mentions that they have her location, and he has a team ready to take her out, leaving the Amazons open for an attack. Just then, Aquaman swims off, leaving his generals confused. Ocean Master informs him that he will talk to his brother. Orin stands over the Geopulse device. Ocean Master asks Orin if something was wrong. Ocean Master then starts to mention that he's been acting odd since his inspection of Rome. He suspects that he was still grieving over the loss of Mera. Orin tells him not to say her name ever again. 10 months ago in Venice, King Brian stands on a bridge waiting for Aquaman to arrive. His bodyguards contact him through his earpiece, stating that he was too exposed, but Brian assures him that he will be fine. He believed the Sea King could be reasoned with, and to show a sign of good faith, he stands alone. He tells the security team that in order to gain peace you have to take a risk. Then, without warning, out of the water 3 Atlanteans rose out of the water with spears in their hands. Brian's bodyguard screamed down the earpiece, saying that it was a trap. Brian calms his men down, as he claims that he can handle the threat. Markov uses powers to call in for earth and stone to respond to his command. Then, to the assassin's surprise, a giant fist made from rocks emerged from the ground, grabbing one of his attackers. Then he uses gravity ability to slam another attacker. But Brian is caught off guard as an Atlantean pointed his gun at Brian's head. Then, from the waves emerged Mera, the Queen of Atlantis, her eyes bright with purpose. Her arrival ended the battle before it could begin. To the stunned king, she extended a hand, not in conquest, but in treaty. Mera apologized to the king for the actions of the renegades. She explained to Brian that Aquaman had sent her to watch over him to see if he was trustworthy. Mera mentioned that the attackers were part of a group that opposed any type of treaty made with surface people. She also added that Atlantis would have been happy if they just ignored the surface world. However, Aquaman and Dr. Volko observed Brian and Mera's conversation. During the fight, Dr. Volko performed scans on Brian. Back in the present, Aquaman and Ocean Master stand near the Geopulse. Ocean Master revealed that Mera had played her part in trying to convince King Brian into believing her. She helped persuade Brian to join Atlantis into a mutual defense pact, while Volko designed the Geopulse device. Ocean Master then mentioned Arthur would have rather found another way to fight against the Amazons, but he had no choice after what they did to Queen Mera. Aquaman looks inside the device, staring at King Brian strapped into the device with tubes and cables plugged into him. Ocean Master reminded Aquaman that it was better to have Brian as a weapon than an ally. He tries to get Arthur's attention, but Aquaman slaps his brother away, warning him again to never mention Mera's name again. 8 months earlier, the world had tried once to negotiate. Beneath the marble vaults of the Vatican, cameras had been prepared, speeches written and history rehearsed. King Brian was to meet Emperor Aquaman face to face. 2 rulers, 1 promise. But the earth does not honor treaties. The tremor came first, faint but growing. Then came the sea. The ocean rose to an amazing heights, towering over St. Peter's Basilica in Vatican City, and then burying it under tons of water, killing anything that was unfortunate to cross its path. Back in the present once again, Aquaman tells Ocean Master to prepare his army, as he is now ready to strike against the Amazons once and for all. Aquaman's armada stand waiting along the English Channel, with New Themyscira locked in their sights. Aquaman and his inner circle, Ocean Master, Siren, and the veteran Rodin gathered together on his flagship vessel. From the viewport, Arthur studied the island fortress that once represented peace between gods. Now it was only a target. Ocean Master urged caution to his trusted allies, whereas Siren, sworn by blood to avenge her sister's death, she demanded action. But Arthur's silence spoke louder than either. Vengeance was his compass now. He ordered the strike, not for conquest, but for Mera. As Arthur's air armada slowly approached the coast, our story takes a small detour. Back in Maine, the childhood home of Arthur Curry. A storm tore across the coast, and through the rain came a lightkeeper named Thomas Curry. He spots something in the water. He pulled a dying woman out of the sea. Her name was Atlanta, queen of a realm he could not imagine. Love found them quickly, and soon more happiness came to them in the news of an expecting child. Sadly, their love would be challenged. Soldiers from the sea came for her, armored and merciless. Tom fought against the tide and lost. They dragged Atlanta back to the ocean. She cursed the king who had condemned her to exile. She would die giving birth to a son the sea would never forget. That child, half man, half god, was left to die on Mercy Reef, abandoned as an impurity. But the ocean had chosen him. Dolphins carried the infant to shore, to the father who still waited beneath the lighthouse. Back in the present, Ocean Master and Siren made their way through shadowed rivers beneath New Themyscira. Their mission was precise: to eliminate the Markovian weapons guardian Terra Markov, who had joined the Amazons' cause. Siren prepares to strike, but she was interrupted by Penthesilea, aunt to the Amazon queen. Siren strikes at the Amazon, but she was stabbed in the chest by Penthesilea's spear, killing her instantly. Ocean Master gets into an attack position ready to fight. Penthesilea orders Terra to call for Wonder Woman and her Furies. In Aquaman's submarine, Dr. Volko informs Aquaman that he has lost contact with the kill team. There were no communications and no life signs. Arthur decided to take the fight to the next step. He orders Volko to tell General Rodin to have his men ready to attack. But Volko tries to convince Aquaman to wait. He knows that the Geopulse will destroy the Amazons in one strike. But he asks Arthur not to act too rashly. This angers the Sea King. He shouts at Volko, telling that all his life people have tried to hold him back. Arthur has a flashback to his youth, when he lived with his father, on his 13th birthday, on a day when he should be happy, but he only feels sadness. He tells his father that he wants to go home. However, Tom tells him that he is home, but Arthur explains that his real home is the sea, and there was a kingdom waiting for him. Then to add more problems to Tom, 3 royal guards burst through the door. Not wanting to lose his son the same way as lost Atlanta, Tom tries to fight them off, but he was no match for them as they killed him in front of Arthur. One of the guards picks up Arthur and returns him to the sea. As time goes on, Arthur was renamed Orin and was taught to fight to help prepare him to be the ruler of Atlantis. Back in the present, as Aquaman watches the monitors, General Rodan believes that their mission has failed and thinks that they should retreat. But Aquaman refuses. Rodan begs his king that they should leave before Wonder Woman appears with her Furies. But then on the radar, a signal appears. A small craft was flying toward them. It was an invisible jet, and inside were the Furies' Huntress, Hawkgirl, and Cheetah. They were ready to attack, until something flew past them at great speeds and smashes into the submarine. It was Queen Diana, and she was ready for battle. Wonder Woman stands before Aquaman, saying to him that once they were about to be married. She also mentions that she believes that this whole war was a setup by 2 conspirators. Refusing to listen, Arthur goes into for the attack. Shocked by his actions, she still tries to get through to him. She tells him that the war was a mistake. They were being used. He tells her keep her excuses to herself. He kicks her away, telling his men to stay back. Wonder Woman was alone. He blames her for Mera's death. He tells her that she wears Mera's helmet as a trophy. 8 months ago, by the Italian coast, Aquaman invited King Brian for dinner aboard his ship. As they dine, they raise their glasses to celebrate the possible union. But before they have their drinks, Mera stops him, telling him that they have a better wine for a special occasion. Arthur said that he will have someone bring it to them. But for now, he wanted to at least have the wine they already have. Brian drinks his wine, but then he collapsed to the ground. Aquaman orders Volko to have Brian taken away. Then Arthur questioned about how she almost stopped Brian from taking the wine. She explained that she was having second thoughts of the plan. She felt that it would have been better to actually create an alliance with the surface world than use him as a weapon. However, Arthur responded telling her that he tried to make peace with Diana, but he couldn't, and now he is using an opportunity to destroy the Amazons. Then Mera asked him at what point will he realize that he lost his soul. Ocean Master entered the room with urgency. He informs Arthur that General Rodan needed him on the command deck. As Arthur was leaving the room, he asked his brother to join him later in Volko's lab later. Ocean Master tells Mera that if they use the geopulse, the impact would sink half of Europe. He also mentioned that there might still be a way to avoid having to use it. His spies had supplied tactical intelligence that Queen Diana will review her coastal defenses at the port of Dover just over an hour from now. He also reports Rodan's assessment. A full military strike is ruled out because they would detect a fleet long before they could target her individually. After hearing this news, Mera decided to take things into her own hands. She runs out telling Ocean Master to keep Arthur busy. Aquaman confronted Wonder Woman underwater, attacking with his trident as she blocked with her sword. He said that it sent his brother to kill one of her Furies, a girl named Tara Markov, and demanded to know how his brother had died. Wonder Woman replied that his brother was not dead and told him that it was worse than that. She explained that she had walked in on his brother and her Aunt Penthesilea kissing. Aquaman was visibly shocked by what she revealed. In the Atlantean chamber, surrounded by his soldiers, Wonder Woman told him to think about everything that had led to their war. She said that his brother and her aunt had been secret collaborators all along. Aquaman struggled to process what he had just heard and said that it could not be true. Wonder Woman stood at the center of the chaos, her armored face framed by the flames of battle. She accused his brother and her aunt of arranging her mother's assassination and placing the blame on Aquaman's royal ward, Garth. After the assassination, Penthesilea had pushed for war, urging the Amazons to fight at every turn and even sacrifice their ancestral island. Wonder Woman's anger was cold and sharp as she questioned whether Aquaman's brother had ever once spoken for peace between their two nations. Elsewhere, Dr. Volko stood in his laboratory beside the towering machine known as the Geopulse. Aquaman contacted him to check on its status. Volko asked if he should activate the weapon, but the king's response was immediate and firm. He was to remain on standby until further notice. The geopulse stayed dormant, its destructive potential hanging in the water like an unspoken threat. Meanwhile, General Roden received orders from Aquaman to bring the entire fleet to the surface. Roden hesitated, warning that doing so would expose him to enemy aircraft, but Aquaman's command was unwavering. He clarified that he wasn't calling off the assault. The fleet was to keep their weapons armed and be ready to make landfall. Even as he held back the geopulse, Aquaman prepared for conflict, his restraint balanced by the looming reality of war. Aquaman stood armed with his trident, his expression cold and resolved. He declared to Wonder Woman that regardless of how their confrontation would end, his wife's death would remain on her hands. He added that if her claims about Ocean Master and Penthesilea proved true, he would not command a full-scale invasion. He stated that whichever of them survived their coming duel would see to it that the betrayers were held accountable. Wonder Woman agreed, standing firm and composed, holding her sword upright before her face. She explained that she had left Ocean Master and Penthesilea with her palace guards after she had defeated them both, and began to make contact to confirm their condition. In the next moment, she initiated communication, her tone sharp and direct, identifying herself as the queen and demanding to know the status of her traitorous aunt and the Atlantean. Inside the Themysciran palace, Huntress reported to Wonder Woman that both prisoners, Penthesilea and the Atlantean, were alive, though the Atlantean remained unconscious. Wonder Woman responded that her forces were to remain on standby for now, keeping their weapons ready but waiting for further instruction. Wonder Woman informed her warriors that she was communicating from aboard the Atlantean flagship. She explained that she had already informed the Sea King of his brother's betrayal, suggesting that open conflict between Atlantis and Themyscira might still be prevented. Nearby, Ocean Master, lying wounded and restrained, asked his lover quietly if it was time to act, to which Penthesilea confirmed it was. With a cold determination, Ocean Master activated a device built into his armor, causing it to emit a sharp click and a flash of red light. As he did, he declared that his brother, the usurper, should never have allowed him to inspect the Atlantean fleet, implying that a betrayal was about to unfold. Beneath the crushing depths of the sea, chaos reigns. The flagship trembles as explosions ripple through the dark water. Boom after boom, a symphony of destruction echoing through Atlantis' pride. The bombs that Ocean Master placed rips through the hull, the ocean swallowing the wreckage piece by piece. Inside, alarms blare. A desperate Atlantean officer, his voice sharp with panic, shouts, "Abandon ship." Volko roars in anger, calling the Amazons as backstabbers of war that once promised unity now burns with vengeance. Through the chaos, Volko stands defiant. The chamber tilts, metal groaning, water bursting through shattered glass. But he does not flee. His words cut to the roar of destruction. He says that the flagship is sinking and the battle is lost. But he shall not abandon his station, not while he can still strike a mortal blow in the name of Atlantis. His trembling hand hovers over a console, ready to unleash one final act of defiance. Nearby, Aquaman's face twists in shock and desperation. His eyes widen, realization striking too late. He shouts, the words carrying to flooding chaos. But the die is already cast. Far below the surface, a circular shockwave spirals outward, the mark of decision that cannot be undone. Aquaman's body is suspended within the water, still, caught between what was and what must now come. The narration turns inward, a voice reflecting on what could have been. Perhaps in another life, Arthur Curry would not have been restored to his throne so soon. Perhaps more time with his father on the surface might have given him the wisdom to see the betrayal that awaited him beneath the sea. Perhaps in another life, the name Aquaman might have stood for justice, not genocide. But this was the life fate had chosen for him. And now, the endgame had arrived. From the heart of Atlantis, the tremor begins. Brian Markov's powers, amplified by Volko's science, igniting a force that shakes the earth itself. Cracks splinter across the stone domes and towers. Escarike, the sound of destiny collapsing in on itself. The cliffs tremble as the ocean roars, the deep rising in fury. And then, the world rumbles, RRRMBL, as Atlantis and everything tied to it braces for what comes next. Aquaman turns to Diana and starts to attack her, calling her a two-faced witch. As he strikes at her, nearly missing her, he gives the order to his general to commence landing. Outside, Aquaman's army begins its attack, firing at the home of the Amazons. The ocean itself seems to hold its breath as blades clash beneath the crushing weight of the deep. Diana strikes first, her sword slicing through the water, connecting with Aquaman's chest in a flash of steel and blood. The blow forces him back, the sting of betrayal cutting deeper than the wound itself. Pain surges through him, but instinct answers faster than thought. The trident rises, metal meets metal, clang. Sparks bloom in the dark blue water as the force of the impact drives a wave of power between them. Aquaman counters with brutal precision, shattering her guard, the strength of a king breaking to the defenses of a warrior. For a moment, everything slows. The fog of pain clears from his eyes, leaving only clarity, sharp, merciless clarity. And then, floating before him, the sight that greets and wounds him in a way no blade could. A helmet drifts through the water, cracked and glowing faintly, a relic of what once was, of who they once were. The pain that fills him now is quieter, but far deeper. The port of Dover, 8 months earlier. The morning light glimmers faintly across the water as the Queen of the Amazons inspects her troops. Her soldiers stand ready, poised and regal, when the surface of the sea breaks. From the depths, the Queen of Atlantis rises to meet her. Mera's personal guard emerges first, shields raised, their sudden appearance drawing immediate fire from the Amazons. The clash is instant, spears and arrows cutting to the mist, the calm of diplomacy shattered in a heartbeat. Through the chaos, Diana turns, and for a single moment, the two queens stand opposed, not as rulers, but as warriors. The field clears. The guards are pushed aside. The battle narrows to them alone. Mera strikes first, fierce and unyielding, her trident thrust forward with all the fury of the sea. But for all her resolve, the moment passes too quickly. A flash of steel, a blur of motion. The fight is over before it begins. The Sea King would never know what became of her, only that her helmet was found, its golden surface marked by blood. A scouting vessel rises from the depths, carrying a body draped in silence. The words spoken over the communicator are hollow, almost reverent. She was found by a scouting vessel. Inside the cold, metallic chamber, Arthur stands motionless beside Ocean Master. Before them lies Mera, still lifeless, the ocean having claimed what was once his heart. The soft glow of the room washes over her, but nothing in its light can warm the void she leaves behind. All the lessons from his father echo faintly in his mind, the ones taught long ago on the surface. Love thine enemy. Blessed are the peacemakers. Turn the other cheek. But those teachings feel foreign now, fragment of a world that no longer exists. The man who once believed in balance feels that belief die before him. Nothing makes sense anymore. Nothing matters. There is no justice left in the world. Through his eyes, the reflection of the surface gleams, the domes and temples above, symbols of the life that took her from him. His gaze hardens. Compassion gives way to fury. There are no rules left, so there are no rules to break. The command is cold and final. Deploy the geopost device. Sink them. Kill them all. Back in the present. On the shattered deck, Arthur stands over Diana. He moves toward her, offering one last embrace. But with her oxygen mask damaged, she had no choice but to fly out of the flagship. Diana breaks the immediate silence with a gasp. Reports arrive. Fury Command alerts the Queen that Atlantean forces are closing on London. Immediately, she gives the order to recall the squadron. Her intent is clear. They will defend their new home, and they will pray to Athena that it remains intact. With the flagship exploding around him, Aquaman swims out of the sinking craft. Using his super swimming speed, he is able to launch himself into the air and use his trident to pierce the hull of one of Wonder Woman's invisible jets. He knew Brian Markov would survive for hours. Trapped on the ocean floor, his power raging unchecked, tearing the world apart from beneath. The earth trembles, the sky burns, and Arthur stands at the center of the storm, the weight of his decision bearing down on him like the sea itself. He understands what he has done. In choosing vengeance, he has condemned every living soul within reach to oblivion. Cities crumble as the tides rise. Fire and water collide in violent union, consuming all that remains. If there is a heaven, he knows Mera must be waiting there. Yet even that thought brings no comfort. He will never join her, not in peace, not in death. Arthur Curry, King of Atlantis, chosen son of the ocean, knows that his soul is already damned. Still, the fury in his heart burns brighter than any fear of consequence. For him, there is only one truth left. If he can watch the so-called Wonder Woman in the Amazon's fall, it will be worth the damnation. For that, he would welcome the flames of perdition. In the end, the sea claimed everything. What began as peace ended in ruin, and Aquaman stood alone among the wreckage of two worlds. History would call him a conqueror, but beneath the surface, he was simply a man who lost too much to ever turn back. This is the fall of Emperor Aquaman, and that wraps up today's journey through the pages of the multiverse. If you enjoyed exploring this story, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and ring that notification bell. It really helps the channel grow. I'd love to hear from you too. Drop a comment below with any Marvel or DC characters you'd like me to cover next. Whether it's a hero, villain, or an alternate version from another Earth, your idea might just be the next video. Until next time, keep turning the pages of the multiverse.